de travail approuvé pour la première session ordinaire du Parlement de la CEDEAO de l'année 2025, la commission mixte A, commerce, douane et libre circulation, B, politique macroéconomique, recherche économique, C, administration, finance et budget, et D, industrie et secteur privé. C'est réuni ce matin pour une rencontre interactive avec le Forum des administrations fiscales ouest-africaines. Parfois, cette séance vise à approfondir notre compréhension du rôle du Parlement de la CEDEAO dans la supervision et la facilitation, la mise en œuvre de la zone de libre-échange continentale africaine. C'est l'État. Et dans la facilitation des réformes de la politique fiscale pour soutenir le commerce intra-africain et la croissance économique régionale. Sans plus tarder, je souhaite soumettre à votre adoption l'ordre du jour et le programme de travail de la séance que vous avez, je crois, sous les yeux. Tout le monde a ça sous les yeux. S'il n'y a pas d'objection, l'ordre du jour et le programme de travail sont adoptés. Pas d'objection? Adopté. Après avoir adopté notre programme de travail, permettez-moi de faire quelques déclarations avant de donner la parole à nos invités pour qu'ils se présentent. Honorables députés, permettez-moi de saisir cette occasion pour vous souhaiter chaleureusement la bienvenue ainsi qu'à nos distingués invités. Je souhaite également à tous une joyeuse journée de la CEDEAO. Comme vous l'avez peut-être remarqué dans la note conceptuelle, la séance d'aujourd'hui est consacrée à un échange interactif avec les représentants du Forum des administrations fiscales ouest-africaines, FAFOA, et de la Commission de la CEDEAO. Le thème de notre séance est tiré parti de la stratégie législative pour stimuler le commerce et les recettes africaines. La zone de libre-échange continentale africaine, ZLECA, constitue l'une des initiatives les plus transformatrices du programme d'intégration économique de l'Afrique. Et les députés ont un rôle essentiel à jouer pour assurer la mise en œuvre efficace de la ZLECA à travers une signage régionale et un plaidoyer politique. Cela dit, permettez-moi de présenter nos sincères excuses à nos invités pour le report répété de ce programme dû en grande partie à des circonstances indépendantes de notre volonté. Je suis néanmoins heureux que nous puissions enfin nous réunir et délibérer sur ce sujet crucial. Nous allons maintenant consacrer 5 minutes à nos invités pour qu'ils se présentent. Après leur présentation, ils disposeront de 20 minutes pour présenter leur exposé. Les honorables députés seront ensuite invités à poser des questions ou à formuler des commentaires. J'invite maintenant nos invités du WATAF à prendre la parole pour se présenter et faire leur exposé.
Good morning, the Chairman, honorable members of Parliament, Joint Committee. Let me just introduce myself. My name is Anas Gozaji. I'm training as a development manager here at the local state. Before I give up the Executive Secretary's opening remark, I'll give the floor to my colleagues to introduce themselves, after which I will give us a little about our resource person professional program.
name is Nyatepri Docheli. The research manager. I'm holding the research manager desk at the West African Tax Administration. Thank you.
Good morning, honorable members of the ECOWAS Parliament. My name is Francis Ezedi, and I'm the manager in charge of administration at the WATAF Secretariat. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Before I introduce you, I'll just go ahead to read out the Executive Secretary's opening remarks on his behalf. On behalf of Mr. Jules Stankover, the Executive Secretary of WATAF, I extend his warm greetings and sincere regrets for his absence. It is a distinct honor to address this august body as we gather to deliberate on one of the most consequential economic instruments of our time, which is the AFCFTA, the African Continental Free Trade Area. As Africa moves towards deeper integration, the role of legislators becomes ever more critical. The AFCFTA is more than a trade pact. It is a catalyst for sustainable, inclusive, and borderless growth. But it must be underpinned by robust legislation, concurrent tax policies, and harmonized custom frameworks to realize its full promise. WATAF has long recognized the ECOWAS Parliament as a vital ally in shaping regional tax integration. Through joint effort, including 2 capacity building workshops, which we conducted in 2023, we have laid a foundation for informed legislative engagement on the AFCFTA implementation. This session on the topic which you have in the table is leveraging the AFCFTA legislative strategies for boosting intra-African trade and revenue speaks to the dual narrative which is, that is, enabling trade by and enhancing domestic revenue mobilization. So, in this dialogue today, we aim to deepen your understanding of the AFCFTA legal and policy dimension. We also hope to share tested tax reforms aligned with regional goals, and then also strengthen collaboration between lawmakers, tax experts, and trade authorities. At the close of today's dialogue, we anticipate not only renewed resolve to also actionable recommendations that will steer our collective effort in turning AFCFTA ambitions into reality. On behalf of WATAF, I commend your vision and leadership, and I express gratitude to our partners, particularly the ECOWAS Commission and the AFCFTA Secretariat, for their enduring support. Let us embrace this moment to legislate for unity, trade for transformation, and govern for prosperity. My name is, once again, Dan Asabo. I'm the Training and Capacity Development Manager, representing the Executive Secretary of WATAF. Thank you. So, at this moment, I'm going to just give us a brief about our resource person, Professor Jonathan Adeyemi Aremu. He's a professor of international economic relations and a former acting vice chancellor of the Covenant University. He is also a consultant at the ECOWAS on common investment market. Professor Aremu started a successful career at the Central Bank of Nigeria, where he rose to the rank of the acting assistant director of research before he voluntarily retired. And then he went to set up his own private firm, which is Marketing Consult Limited. So at national level, Professor Aremu has served in various capacities, where he was among the experts that were appointed by the federal government in 2012 to develop a trade policy for implementation in Nigeria. He was also a member of the National Action Committee on the AFCFTA. Professor Remu was appointed as the National Consultant of the United Economic Commission for Africa, UNECA, that developed the AFCFTA national strategies for Nigeria. In ECOWAS, Professor Remu was appointed by the EU as the monitoring expert for preparation of an ECOWAS investment guarantee renewal mechanism in 2012, and the financial expert that drafted ECOWAS Common Investment Code and Policy by European Union. He is the lead consultant on the common investment market to coordinate the establishment of the payment and settlement systems. There are a lot about Professor Remu that you can see when it comes to the achievement of ECOWAS, especially as related to economic development. I wouldn't have the time to read everything, that's why I'm just jumping. So at the continental and international levels, Professor Remu was the national coordinator, country team leader of the UNIDO Investment Survey in Nigeria, 2009 to 2012. He was also a member of the technical expert that developed the Pan-African Investment Code that was used in the development of adopted investment protocol of the AFCFTA, and is currently a member of the technical experts appointed African Union towards the domestication of sustainable investment across the AU member states. So professionally, Professor Remu is a life member of both the Nigerian Economic Society and the Nigerian Society of International Law. He is also a member of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs and a current facilitator of Trade, Investment and Competitiveness Commission of the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, as well as a member of the National Economic Advisory Council. Professor Remu is also currently the chairman of Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture on AFCFTA trade groups, and a member of editorial board of Canadian Institute for International Law Expertise, Toronto. He is equally the chairman of board of the African School of Diplomacy and International Relations. So,
je pense les 5 minutes sont épuisées, donc nous allons directement à la présentation.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. Actually, I'm done with the introduction of Professor Remu. So this just underscores the importance of, the qualification of the resource person that will be delivering the topic for us today. So thank you very much, Professor Remu.
I say good morning to this joint committee on trade, customs, free movement, macroeconomics policy, and economic research, finance and budget, industry and private sector. It's a wonderful opportunity for me to be here again. I was in this room when we came from ECOWAS Commission to actually defend between the members of Parliament. Before the members of Parliament, the need for an ECOWAS investment code and policy. 2003 February, I equally defended the ECOWAS payment and settlement system before the Parliament in Guinea-Bissau. And today I'm here again to talk about the importance of this economic integration that combines all the member states of African countries, which is very important. You have contributed as a Parliament to the economic integration of ECOWAS, and therefore, when all the rest are coming together again, you have to help ECOWAS to be well integrated into the continental integration. And that is why your role as a parliament is so important, not only to look at what is inside the economic integration, but to strengthen the parliament in terms of implementation of AFTA, so that our region can actually continue to lead the entire continent. I don't know, they told me they are going to make the presentation. Please, can you switch it on? Hurry up, please. My time is going. Okay. You can see the outline of my presentation as displayed. Introduction, basis for ECOWAS Parliament. You know the basis more than me. So I just put it there just to be able to remind you. But please just put in all those things that I forgot, because I cannot actually know what you are doing. You know what you are doing better. Then the basis for ECOWAS and AFTA integration. Then the commencement of AFTA integration, and economic integration and the revenue implementation, and how to strengthen the parliament in after economic integration. So the parliament, as you all know, and as I saw also, was actually created exactly around 25 years ago. And that is why the logo over there is showing that. And ECOWAS is 50 now. So you are half of the entire ECOWAS, which means you are 50% of what you expected ECOWAS to do. That's just my own interpretation of it. That is not just 25 or 50, 25 out of 50, but to let you know the importance of the parliament in the implementation of the economic integration that combined this community. The parliament was established to provide legislative advisory services to the regional body. It was therefore expected to promote peace, security, and actually take note of other economic issues. What are the basic issues for the parliament? Why the community? Number one, the need for community mechanisms. Very important, because you are representing the ECOWAS of the people. You are representing the people. And therefore, among ECOWAS institutions, it's only the parliament that actually have that particular role. Therefore, a community mechanism is necessary. The revised treaty actually put your functions in 1993, the basis for your being put in place. Then, legislative advisory role. You know the various roles you have to actually perform in terms of legislating for the people you are representing. That means ECOWAS Commission, whatever thing they are doing, without the community of people represented by you, it is not actually completed, because you are the one representing the voice of the people in the community. Promoting peace and stability, this particular role is so much important now because of what you are facing. Informing the public. I mean, as a representative of the people, you have to inform the people that you are representing in your various countries. And luckily enough for me, I've gone around all these countries, and I know why you have to inform them. Because ECOWAS of people, they don't have to detach themselves from the people which constitute them. Then what are the objectives of the parliament? Oh, the objectives are listed there in your Article 4. I don't have to mention everything, they are stated there. Right? Let me just go back. This was where I was before the light went off. I said Article 4 of the Supplementary Act that created the parliament stated its role, and the role I just copied and pasted in that place. So, not to waste your time. What is the objective of creating it? Participate in process of enacting the Community Act. Community Act is only finalized when the voice of the people is seen, and therefore, most of the Supplementary Act of ECOWAS Commission, as it happened under the one that set up the ECOWAS payment and settlement system, which actually addressed the parliament in Guinea-Bissau, it was until your people were actually talked to that the ECOWAS payment and settlement system come into existence. And it is because we have the ECOWAS payment and settlement system, it is on the basis of that that APRESIM actually put up their own Pan-African payment system. So it's quite a very good thing that you have participated, not only in that of the payment system for ECOWAS, but participated at the continental level, right? So Article 7 and 8 equally have important assignments in terms of mandatory assets which you have to give. And then there are other ones that are non-mandatory assets, which in your activities, which you have to contribute to the development of the economic integration in the region. From the above, strengthening of the regional parliament becomes very important. Why? Because of the fact that you are the voice of the people, and therefore what you say is very important to whatever ECOWAS commission or other commissions, other institutions of the ECOWAS community set up to be able to achieve. This is because the parliament should be capable of playing a vital role in harmonizing the various policies, legal framework, institutional cooperation, which will ultimately facilitate the economic integration of the community. Right? Now, let us look at the role of REX, Regional Economic Community, inside African Continental Free Trade Area. And then, you see, ECOWAS is just a regional economic community. We have 7 other regional economic communities, as you are going to see in the next figure, which I'm going to show you. Look at that figure. That is the galaxy of the various regional community within African Union. But when you look at the next table that I'm going to show you, there are only 8 RECs. The first one is Arab Maghreb Union, the Community of Sahara State, the COMESA, East African Community, then the Economic Community of Central African State, then our own ECOWAS Community of West African State, and then 2 other ones, IGAD and SADC. You will discover that out of these 8, we are one. And what are the role of each of the RECs under the African Continental Free Trade Area? Let me first of all say what is the African Continental Free Trade Area? It's a continental agreement of economic integration, which started in ECOWAS in 1980 under the Lagos Plan of Action. Then it was concretized in Abuja in 1991 under African Economic Community Treaty. And then on the 21st of March 2018, it was signed. And quite a lot of our member states are members of this particular African Continental Free Trade Area. Now, based on the framework agreement of African Continental Free Trade Area, the regional economic community, all the 8 of them, they have different roles to play. And what are the roles of the regional economic community like ECOWAS? Number 1, coordination and negotiation. When we are talking of ECOWAS, in terms of coordination and negotiation, it's not only ECOWAS Commission, but all the ECOWAS institutions. So, Parliament has a role to play in coordination and negotiation, implementation support. The third one, mediation and conflict resolution. Next is the issue of facilitating trade, building block. In fact, it's a block of all the 8 RECs that actually form the whole of AFTA. Then integration activities. And then lastly, policy advice. So you have to actually contribute by the virtue of your position as representative of the voice of the people in all these roles. Now, specifically, what do we expect of the role of the parliament inside the African Continental Free Trade Area? ECOWAS institution, as we know it, has that particular kind of organogram. And you can see your role as the legislative organ. We have the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development. We have the executive, which is ECOWAS Commission. The legislative aspect is your role. And your role is so important that it cannot be taken away from you. And judiciary is the last on the right-hand side. So, what therefore is your role? Advocacy and promotion of integration, strengthening of democracy and good governance, facilitating dialogue and consultation, building existing regional integration, supporting capacity building of the region, and engaging private sector and civil society, because we are representing everyone. And then, what are the basic issues in African economic integration? And this is what I want to say briefly. And please, I would like a consultation of all of us. What is economic integration itself? At the onset of economic integration, we usually explain it by saying this, that let us have a situation in which we have, let's say, 3 countries, Nigeria, Ghana, and China. And let us say we have a product called A, and that product, the price of A is $50 in Nigeria, in Ghana is $40, in China is $30. Now, if Nigeria did not want that product to come to the country, they can impose, and that is table 2, a tariff of 100%, and therefore the price from Ghana will be 80, and then the price from China will be 60. But if Nigeria and Ghana go into economic integration, that is to say that they will not be charging themselves again. What happened? Then the price will be $50 in Nigeria. From Ghana, it's going to be 40 because there is no more import duty, and then from China, 45. So China, the cheapest country, will not be able to enter, its product will not be able to enter Nigeria again. That is the basis of economic integration. But what is there? Somebody will say, now, if you are not buying from China, we are losing revenue, yes. And then we are not going to put import duty on Ghana, yes, you are losing revenue also. But what we are going to gain in terms of economies of scale, in terms of what we are going to sell to Ghana as well, will be more than the revenue that we are losing. And that is where the Parliament comes in, particularly with respect to this particular topic. And that is to say that as much as possible, you have to integrate the community in a way in which the loss of revenue as a result of the economic integration will be more than compensated for by the expansion of trade among all the African countries that are coming together. And that means it's a very big role for you as a Parliament. You need to be able to actually make sure you perform your role to get this one done. There's going to be trade creation or trade diversion. Both the trade creation and trade diversion are expected to actually lead to loss of revenue. The explanation for phase of economic integration is there for you to see. Those are the various stages we pass through. While AFTA is under free trade area, ECOWAS is under custom union, which means we are higher than what AFTA is. So it is our custom union position that we use in entering the African continental free trade area. Now, what is the expected outcome of the integration? The outcome of integration is to lead to more of trade creation and trade diversion. Look at that diagram. A particular company in Nigeria having its own affiliate across African countries, and it can produce some input to be used in Nigerian factory. It can have another affiliate in Egypt. So African Continental Free Trade Area has allowed for the right of establishment of every of the companies in Nigeria or in Ghana or in Cote d'Ivoire to actually have its branches in terms of branches associate as well as subsidiary in all those countries. And then you can move your product about. You can sell final goods, you can sell intermediate goods, and then you can now see the issue of subcontracting and outsourcing of activity. And that will actually lead to expansion of products in Africa. Right now, you all know that the entire global space, led by the US disruption, in terms of tariff, which unilaterally the president of USA is putting on, the global atmosphere is no longer safe. Therefore, economic integration, particularly among us, is becoming very important. So, and we need to be able to make sure we perform our role. So, ECOWAS, African Continental Free Trade Area commenced in 2021, but each of our countries must work on the logic of implementation using that diagram. And then, with the commencement, those are the situation of individual countries inside it. What are the protocols that have been adopted? And this is an area in which I want the Parliament to actually make sure they pay attention. There are 8 protocols that are adopted already, and all of them must be understood by the Parliament. Trade in goods, we are familiar with that under the ECOWAS. Trade in services, there are certain services that we are performing here, which can actually be performed in other countries. You are allowed to do that. Our members are allowed to do that. Settlement of disputes, investment, intellectual property rights, competition, women and youth, as well as digital trade. All those 8 protocols have been adopted. And it is the duty of the Parliament to know this one in full. So I'm telling him that this various protocol should be sent to you in the next few days so that you'll be able to have them in your care as well. Now, what is the revenue implication of economic integration? I've mentioned it here. Tax revenue will be lost, but tax revenue can be gained also via certain increase in production activity in the countries. Then, what other things do we expect? Potential revenue gain is there. So it is your duty as a Parliament to be able to see that we do not lose in economic integration of the entire Africa. Now, how do we strengthen the domestic taxation under this? So there are various things which I actually mentioned there: 2 tax reform, shifting to indirect tax, capacity building of our member states, focusing on benefit and policy coordination, transparency and accountability. Then, how do we now strengthen ECOWAS? Well, we need to strengthen ECOWAS Parliament to be able to perform this role. Please, your role is becoming serious with African Continental Free Trade Area. It's unlike before, in which it's only within your own constituency of ECOWAS country. It has now actually more than that into under Rex, and you need to be able to know. Therefore, I'm recommending in this presentation for full legislative power that will allow you to do that. Also, integration into the mainstream decision making. So, not doing it just at a tip. Then strengthening your interaction, addressing regional challenges, and that will involve a lot of capacity building, involving the stakeholders more than ever before. There's nothing stopping your parliament from conducting certain activities that will enlighten the people. Why not? You can get consultants to get this one done for you, assemble them, and let them know what they need to do on the African Continental Free Trade Area. Promoting regional cooperation, supporting economic development initiatives, facilitating trade and investment, promoting peace and security, and then, as much as possible, performing every other thing that has been assigned to you. So, in concluding, individual like ECOWAS and you, as an institution of ECOWAS, is expected to play a very crucial role in the implementation of AFTA, to act as a building block. Thus, ECOWAS and its institutions, which include the Parliament, should be able to coordinate our member state into this kind of integration. So each reg will, however, maintain its own integration arrangement. That is to say, we are already in customs union. We are not going to disrupt it because AFTA is on a lower grade of economic integration, where we are going to use it to our own benefit. So, therefore, we are recommending this. There is a need for coordination and support from you as the Parliament in the area of dispute resolution, building blocks, maintaining existing arrangements, developing policies that will facilitate the integration, representing ECOWAS very well in all these issues, and collaborating with EU so that you can get this assignment done. Thank you very much.
Si vous voulez ajouter quelque chose, on vous donne 5 minutes. Le professeur a pratiquement épuisé tout le temps, donc on peut vous accorder 5 minutes de plus.
Yeah, that's the end of the presentation. So we welcome questions, and then the discussion we can start. Thank you.
Je remercie les présentateurs pour leur brillant exposé. La liste est désormais ouverte pour les députés qui souhaitent intervenir pour s'inscrire.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and then thank you very much, Professor, and the team. I have to say that this was a brilliant presentation as far as the theme of discussion is concerned. But I just have some few questions, and I want to seek for clarifications, because I was looking at the presentation, but I couldn't find that I saw the countries, but definitely I need your help in that. The basis of all this discussion is ratification of the treaty on the about the AFCFTA. Before we even start discussing, all member states should ratify this. So I want to know how many of these ECOWAS member states have signed and then have ratified the African Free Continental Trade Treaty. That's the first thing. And then, what do you think is the role of the ECOWAS Parliament in that? Because I know ratification of this treaty have to deal with the various member state parliament. I can remember in our parliament in 2021 and 2022 in Gambia, the instrument of ratification was presented and we duly ratified it. And then it's one thing also to ratify some of these treaties, but also to implement them, because we have challenges in implementation. Because I know we deal with people, we deal with local people, we know some of the challenges they are faced with in terms of border, the petty traders and so on, crossing, if you have your business from Gambia to other countries, Senegal, Bissau, and so on, within the border, sometimes we experience some of these issues. So, and then I think it's an issue that was highlighted even during our last delocalized meeting that was held in Banjul. These traders were there, and we had first-hand information from them, some of the challenges they are faced with. So that is one thing. And then the other thing is, you've mentioned here some of the regional economic blocks, other regional economic blocks. As far as this is Africa, ECOWAS is one, but we have others, and there are even some new ones emerging. So what do you think should be the role between ECOWAS Parliament, I have to say, what should be the role of the Parliament in terms of collaboration with the other sub-regional blocks? Because ECOWAS region is one region, but I know I even have some people who they do trade in the whole of Africa, all the way from South Africa to other parts of East Africa and so on. So what do you think what will be the role of Parliament in that? So basically, those are my clarifications. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Merci, Kamara.
Okay, I have the mic now. Thank you, Chairman. My distinguished colleague, thank you, Prof, for this wonderful presentation. Very enlightening. You should go through your presentation on strengthening ECOWAS Parliament for AFCT thereafter. It listed all the things the Parliament should have, which obviously we don't have all these powers, full legislative powers, integration into mainstream decision making, strengthening interactions, addressing regional challenges. These are all the things the ECOWAS Parliament is lacking. Please, can you tell us, with the limited powers that we have, how can we strengthen ECOWAS and have a good relationship with AFTA? That's my question.
Merci. Honorable Tahidou.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Prof, thank you for the presentation. Before I put my question, Prof, I think we have issues that are already at hand and we are not getting results and we are compounding. For example, when we come to free movement and trade, look at how some of our African countries, if you are moving from one country to the other, when you get to the barriers, look at how so difficult that our people go through. Now we are adding goods and other services. We are looking at human movement. Now we are adding goods and services. So, Prof, we here, can listen to you, discuss them at ECOWAS, and discuss them at our various parliaments. But the power now relies on our states, the presence of our states, to come together to see how some of these laws become effective. Because if I'm moving as a human being, I'm not getting it so easy. How do I move with goods and services? That's one. Two, like a colleague asked, whether some of the countries have started with this after trade. If it is true they have started with the after trade, we have colleagues here. Can we know some of the goods that the countries that have started trading with, so that we can share to our colleagues? Maybe in our individual parliament, we can inform the House that, after I have started, this country and country are dealing with this, that, and these are the available goods if you want to trade into. So this is my question. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I listened to the presentation. I believe this initiative is laudable and could produce very serious outcomes for within countries and across the region. Now, when I listened to you make policy recommendations, one thing that came up was political will. When also you spoke about challenges in implementation, again, political will came up. I know with a political will, most of those other challenges would be addressed. Yes. Now, my question is, what efforts are you making to strengthen the commitment of our heads of state towards harmonizing tax policies in support of the African Continental Free Trade Area? And how successful has your effort been? Thank you.
Est-ce qu'on va les laisser répondre d'abord à ces 4 questions ou bien on continue avec, la liste? Serif, donc vous pouvez poser votre question.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this wonderful intervention. I'm so happy. The short time I made presentation and the feedback I'm getting is that people fully understand this. Maybe because you have been familiar with it. I'm so happy. This was the same comment I made in Guinea-Bissau 2 years ago, in which the Parliament fully understand the basis for why we don't have to be trading in dollar, in euro, and in pounds across ourselves, but in our own domestic currency. And it was after your Parliament actually said we should go ahead that ECOWAS Commission submitted the report, and our head of state in July 2023 adopted the payment system. So I can now see the same clarity. This is the third initiative that I'm going to say in your presence, and this one is going to give me a lot of hope that ECOWAS has a very good opportunity. Then the first question is related to ratification position of our member states. Now, look at the ratification as at the time I make this presentation. 54 countries out of 55 have signed. 48 have ratified. Now, let's go to ECOWAS. You can now see those that are not ratified they are in white. I think the only country left there is what? Republic of Benin. And all the other, can I say all the other 14, or to say all the other 11? Well, all of them have ratified and they are members of African Continental Free Trade Area. And then you said another thing, that what about the issue of REX? Let me say this, that to the best of African Union, we have only 8 recognized REX. Only 8. And let me go back to them so that you'll be able to see clearly. It's only 8 REX that have been recognized, right? Any other REX to be recognized, maybe they are going to show why they should be recognized later on. Oh, sorry. Instead of doing that, I wanted to go back. But I made mention of them, and we are number 5 there. These are the 8 REX that are recognized, and ECOWAS is number 5. Sorry for taking time. All right. Yes. You see, look at the galaxy of REX. The member states say that we cannot operate this. When you look at ECOWAS, you will discover inside ECOWAS there are about 3 regional communities. So then they now say what we are going to do is to recognize only 8. These are the 8 recognized. Burkina Faso, Niger Republic, and Mali that are forming their own REX, they have not been able to be recognized by African Union. If another one is coming up, it will actually need the adoption of the head of state of the entire Africa before it can be recognized. So that is all I can say. Question number 2, the issue of the strengthening. We said that as much as possible, it actually demands the role of the head of state, because this is political will to be able to carry out all these things that we are talking about. As much as possible, a lot of countries have developed their own national strategy for African Continental Free Trade Area. I was privileged to develop the one for Nigeria. Not only that, I was privileged to develop Parliamentary Implementation Code with the existing Secretary General of AFTA, Honorable Wamkele, that's heading AFTA in Accra. And as much as possible, other countries have developed their own national strategies as well. Then at ECOWAS Commission, we are doing a lot, particularly in mainstreaming our various protocol or supplementary acts or code or policy in line with what we signed. As I'm sitting here with you, that is what I'm doing with respect to investment, to make sure that investment code and policy actually agree with African Continental Free Trade Area Investment Protocol. And in other areas in ECOWAS Commission, they are doing that as well. But what we have come to let you know here is that you have a very serious role to play in all these things that ECOWAS Commission is doing. Because you are the voice of the people. But quite a lot of our country are going ahead to be able to have their own policies. And then, more than that, ECOWAS Commission should strengthen the capacity of member states in terms of the understanding of what we are telling you today and in terms of implementation of the various policies to be in line with the protocols of African Continental Free Trade Area, or the 8 protocols. Then the next one, not getting results. Somebody said that we are not getting results. Let me say this one, sir. And with what I know about ECOWAS, ECOWAS is among the rest that is doing a lot when it comes to in terms of implementation. You see, for quite some time now, you don't need any visa to move from one state to another. So we are doing a lot to be able to get that one done. But again, it is your duty as the Parliament to recommend to, with the executive, which is ECOWAS Commission, to the head of state, what will make the political will to be stronger than what it is. The next question, as member states actually started implementing AFTA? The answer is yes. Yes, in terms of guided trade initiative, many countries in ECOWAS actually went into the guided trade initiative, and in July, Nigeria actually shipped the first product to some countries in Africa, on the African Continental Free Trade Area. Ghana was the first country in ECOWAS to be able to participate under guided trade initiative of AFTA. But other member states are equally coming up into it. Then the next question is, well, what efforts will be put in place that the issue of tax that you mentioned? Yes, we have WATAF. WATAF brought me here. That's West African Tax Administrative Forum. They are in charge of making sure that, because in any economic integration, if the tax is not harmonized, you run the danger of additional cost at the entry of a particular crossing border. So, and I'm aware that towards the end of 2023 again, that all ECOWAS head of state came up with about 7 directives on tax harmonization. Tax harmonization, including VAT, and what member states should do to be able to make sure that the tax environment is harmonized, so that for our own economic integration, and to be able to make sure that what we actually committed ourselves is actually what we are committing ourselves inside the African Continental Free Trade Area. We have other institutions like West African Union of Tax Institute, which is doing a lot, complementing the work of WATAF in the issue of this. But we have to go back to our member states, that there are various tax organizations should equally be harmonized at home. Nigeria just finished harmonizing part of its own tax. They should go for that to actually look at the rest, so that it can be in line with what we have agreed at ECOWAS Commission, at ECOWAS level, and at African level. At African level, not much of tax harmonization has taken place. But we need to be able to do that. Harmonize the tax and make sure that economic integration does not actually impose more problems in terms of loss of revenue, but in terms of gaining of revenue. You know, by the example I gave, because of the economic integration between Ghana and Nigeria that I gave there, the tax revenue we are collecting from China is totally gone. So if there is no trade creation in which we can expand our trade between Nigeria and Ghana, or between other countries in NAFTA or other countries in ECOWAS, then and then we are not collecting revenue, then the net loss of economic integration will be deficit, will be lower revenue. So we need to actually go back to be able to make sure that the domestic environment of our member state is adjusted in a way that will allow for trade expansion, for increasing production. Thank you.
Ouais. Nous allons prendre Serif, ensuite l'honorable Guimaris, et en troisième position, oui, Sangaré. Ouais. Honorable Serif d'abord, Guimaris et Sangaré.
No, please, I did not hear what you said, please. What of the kind of goods? Yes. Well, as I put here, yes, I need to answer that also. Madam Yameko was to be here to be able to give the details of that. Because by the seat that I sit in ECOWAS, I may not be able to know the kind of goods. But let me say this one, by the fact that I participate in some of the activities of that, the one that happened in Nigeria, I know quite a lot of the products that were shipped from Nigeria. Bags were shipped, soap was shipped, body cream was shipped, some other clothing material was shipped to other African countries. Then from Kenya to Ghana, battery was shipped to Ghana, and then coffee was shipped as well. Then from other countries, I may not be able to know the detail, but I know that under the Guided Trade Initiative, which is not the full African Continental Free Trade Area trading in goods. Why did I say not in full? The Guided Trade Initiative is the sample of what we want to be doing. And therefore, that's why we say guided. Guided in the sense that we want to guide the good to move. So, Guided Trade Initiative is already allowing product to move from one country to the other. I may not be able to give that detail while sitting here. Thank you.
Sheriff, vous avez la parole.
Yes, and lastly, please, the duty of Parliament. Somebody asked about the duty of Parliament. Those duties, I only read the headings to you. The duties are stated there. The duties are stated here at the opening. The duties are further stated here on the African Continental Free Trade Area. So the duties are actually there in full. But if you want me to actually show you, why not? Why not? Let's go there. Rest, under, after, right? Role of the Parliament inside African Continental Free Trade Area, right? Lawmaking, second one, oversight function, representation through the following. And what are the following? Number one, advocacy and promotion of the integration into AFTA. Strengthening the democracy and good governance. Because good governance must exist among our member states to be able to operate. You see, if you say a particular product should cross border without fulfilling the rule of origin, and then go there, they turn it back, that is not a good one. Facilitating dialogue among the stakeholders in the countries to be able to make sure they are well integrated and can participate effectively. These are the duty. Building existing regional integration. Our existing regional integration have moved from free trade area, which is equal trade liberalization, to customs union. So, which you are not aware of, but we need to be able to send it to our member state to be able to do that. Supporting capacity building. There's nothing wrong in this Parliament assisting member states in terms of capacity building. And engaging private sector and the civil society to know how are you faring in the implementation, so that you can have a feedback because you are representing the people, and then you can use that to be able to inform the institution responsible for one thing or the other to adjust their policy henceforth. So those are the things. Then later on, I equally mentioned what and what have to be done as a result of this your duty, and now that is under the strengthening. And under the strengthening, I actually did a lot of things which this particular Parliament need to be able to do, and that's the beginning of this. Okay, that's about from the beginning here. Number one is to sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, you should participate in coordination and support of other institutions that are in charge of this, build the block as FSH, these two resolutions, maintaining existing regional arrangement, you have to continue to defend where we are in ECOWAS community, facilitating trade, and then representing ECOWAS, collaborating with other institutions of the African Union, development of policies that we have to be able to use to be better integrated. Thank you. Thank you.
Merci. Honorable Sheriff.
Thank you very much, Chair. And thank you, Prof. Prof, I think you will agree with me that, looking at the basic issues on the ECOWAS and then the AFCTA, with the integration aspect of it, I know you agree with me that it's a very difficult task, even at the ECOWAS level, when it comes to the free movement of persons and goods is a problem. And my only concern is about the common market that you were trying to, elaborate on. What can we do to achieve this common goal, especially the common market and the free movement of goods? Because for me, currently we are facing with challenges within the ECOWAS bloc. We are currently facing challenges when it comes to free movement of people and persons and goods. The other also, what is your level of engagement between the ECOWAS Commission to the ECOWAS heads of states? What is your level of engagement between you and them? Because by engaging with them, you can discuss these issues with them. Because at ECOWAS Parliament, our powers are limited. Our powers are limited to that extent that a lot comes from top to bottom. Instead of from us going on top, it comes from up and come down. So what is your level of engagement with them to put these things forward and then see the best we can achieve out of this? Yes, it's a very good one, but to achieve it or to get these objectives might be very difficult. What are your plans towards it? Thank you.
Merci. Honorable Guy Maurice.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. Je voudrais remercier le professeur pour son exposé très intéressant. Moi, je voulais juste lui poser quelques questions, quelques préoccupations. La première, c'est que comment, en fait, il apprécie le manque de lisibilité ou les hésitations que j'ai notées. C'est-à-dire, dans un premier temps, on a une CEDEAO qui a incité ses États membres à signer les accords de partenariat économique entre l'Afrique de l'Ouest et l'Union européenne. Donc ça veut dire que c'était une option. Et il y a eu toute une campagne pour les pays qui ont mis du temps à signer pour leur dire de signer. Quelques mois après, on a dit il faut signer, il faut aller vers la zone de libre-échange continental. Comment vous appréciez cela, monsieur le professeur? Deuxièmement, est-ce qu'il y a eu une étude qui a été faite pour montrer quelles sont les pertes de revenus des pays membres de la CEDEAO? Une estimation, une simulation. Quelles sont les pertes de revenus des pays membres de la CEDEAO avec l'application de la zone de libre-échange continentale? Quelles sont les conséquences pour chaque pays? Si oui, est-ce que vous pouvez partager cela avec nous, s'il vous plaît? Troisièmement, n'avez-vous pas peur des chevaux de Troie qui sont à l'intérieur des pays de la CEDEAO? Je m'explique. Aujourd'hui, au Sénégal, il y a des entreprises qui sont considérées comme sénégalaises, mais qui en réalité sont créées par des non-africains. Ces entreprises qui sont à l'intérieur du Sénégal, du Nigeria, de tous nos pays, ils vont bénéficier de la zone de libre-échange continentale. D'où l'appellation que j'ai faite de chevaux de Troie. Mais est-ce que finalement, cette zone de libre-échange continentale ne va pas plus bénéficier à des filiales de sociétés non africaines qui ont créé des sociétés de droit, en fait, mais sénégalais, nigérians, togolais, etc., et qui en réalité seront les plus grands bénéficiaires de cette zone de libre-échange continentale, plutôt que les entreprises réellement togolaises, réellement gambiennes, réellement sierra-léonaises, mais capverdiennes, nigérianes, etc. Et enfin, n'est-il pas temps, de votre point de vue, qu'on passe vers un gouvernement fédéral? Parce que si on fait un marché commun, alors que les pays ont des politiques différentes, mais c'est le plus fort d'entre nous, en fait, qui va gagner. C'est-à-dire qu'au sein même de la CEDEAO, les plus forts vont gagner les plus faibles, et les plus faibles sont nos frères et sœurs de la CEDEAO, qui va, en fait, mais compenser, d'accord, le chômage, en fait, créé à cause de la zone de libre-échange continentale, qui va compenser les revenus, d'accord, qui sont perdus par les plus faibles. Je vous remercie.
Merci. Honorable Sangaré.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. C'est Jérémy Adomao, c'est pas Sangaré. Merci. Je voudrais féliciter à mon tour le professeur pour sa communication. J'ai une seule préoccupation. Dans sa présentation tout à l'heure, il y a eu un tableau où il était indiqué que le Bénin est le seul pays à ne pas ratifier les tests régissant la ZLECA. Je voulais savoir si le professeur peut partager avec nous un peu les raisons pour lesquelles le Bénin n'a pas ratifié. Est-ce que la lenteur administrative que nous connaissons dans nos pays, ou il y a une raison fondée pour ça? Merci.
Président, oui. Président Khalifa, vous avez la parole.
Muito obrigado, Sr. Professor, por esta apresentação. E nós gostaríamos também de fazer alguns comentários e algumas observações, e gostaríamos de ouvir também da parte do professor o que é que pensa sobre o assunto. É que o Parlamento da CEDEAO, como todos os parlamentos, em princípio, devia ter 3 funções: função representativa, a função legislativa e a função de fiscalização, né, de ação do governo ou do executivo do parlamento da CEDEAO. E, sobretudo, o que interessa aqui é mais a função representativa. A função representativa porque a CEDEAO pretende chegar ao ponto de uma CEDEAO dos povos, não CEDEAO dos Estados. E, então, sair dessa situação e chegar à CEDEAO dos povos é preciso um árduo trabalho, sobretudo o trabalho do Parlamento. Porque o Parlamento, ou os parlamentares, é que representam os povos. Daí que tem importância o Parlamento, tem importância esse tipo de interação, para que nós possamos, junto dos nossos eleitores, transmitir aquilo que são políticas da nossa comunidade relativamente a diferentes matérias. Mas com o Parlamento a funcionar o meio gás, digamos, não é completamente um Parlamento com capacidade para legislar, então pode até certo ponto dificultar ainda esse papel. Porque nós somos um parlamento apenas de dar, digamos, a nossa opinião, consultativo, não temos poder de decisão em termos da legislação, então isso poderá, até certo ponto, dificultar o nosso papel. Mas, por outro lado, também, eu penso que há um problema sério, sobretudo no que diz respeito a blocos regionais e subregionais. Concretamente, aqui na CEDEAO, na costa ocidental da África, nós temos países que pertencem à CEDEAO, mas ao mesmo tempo pertencem ao EMOA. O EMOA é a União Econômica Monetária. CEDEAO também é a Comunidade Econômica. Daqui a nada é monetária, se tiver eco. Então, o problema aqui é a articulação de políticas comerciais, políticas econômicas, políticas políticas monetárias, digamos assim, dessa confluência, digamos assim, dos blocos. CDA é um bloco regional, mas o EMOA já é um bloco subregional e que, por vezes, falta de articulação pode levar a que haja conflitos, né? No que diz respeito a essas diferentes políticas, política econômica, política monetária, a política comercial, etc. E, por outro lado, dificulta alguns países. Por exemplo, a Guiné-Bissau, um país que não tem muitos recursos, mas tem que pagar taxa comunitária para a CEDEAO, taxa comunitária para o EMOA. Portanto, isto tudo, né, que é possível, através de SLEC, sim, talvez uniformizar até certo ponto essas diferentes políticas dentro de uma comunidade já mais ampla, continental, africana. Portanto, eram apenas algumas reflexões que gostaria de trazer aqui, que gostaria de ouvir também da parte do professor, porque isto faz até certo ponto confusão junto das nossas populações. CEDEAO tem uma política, se calhar o EMOA tem outra política em relação às mesmas matérias, então dificulta na sua implementação pelo executivo do país. Portanto, era mais ou menos essa reflexão que eu gostaria de trazer e partilhar com o professor. Muito obrigado.
Excelente. Excelente.
Merci, President Dabo.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Let me also join my colleagues to thank Professor for the presentation. The rules of ECOWAS are very clear. However, to realize effectively these rules that are highlighted, I have the belief that, as it stands, our legislative power is not fully given, and then what the role mainly that we have is advisory. So that put ECOWAS Parliament in a very funny situation. I know efforts are made to make the community parliament to be fully represented through elective means, but the challenges are there. However, let me go to the ratification and signing of the AFTA protocol. Yes, you made mention of the countries, that signed and ratified. An exception of a country had been given, a question was posed, why? I want to know as well, it is one thing to sign and ratify, but the domestication is the main issue. Can you inform the committee the level of the domestication of the protocol by the individual countries? You did say that countries have started preparing their policies. Yes, that is, the policy will guide on the domestication. But I'm interested to know, on your own assessment, the level of the domestication of the protocol that are ratified. Thank you.
Can I start to intervene now? Mr. Chair?
S'il n'y a personne, hein, c'est bon pour tout le monde. Hein? C'est bon, professeur, prenez la parole.
Once again, I really appreciate the kind of intellectual and highly thoughtful intervention I'm hearing this morning. When I came the other time, when the investment code and policy was to be adopted, we did not have this kind of wonderful intervention. But I'm not surprised. Why? We are truly representing the people. Let me say this and say it clearly. Some of the points you are raising, they will be resolved by your recommendation into the ECOWAS head of state. It's not what the ECOWAS Commission, where I've been consulting for since 2005, can actually do. So, but quite a lot of things we are saying here, that under the present setting, when ECOWAS community is now going into collaboration with the entire continent, the power of the parliament needs to be strengthened. Again, I'm happy to say some few things again. 2018, after defending the investment code and the policy here, just about 2 months later, the head of state adopted it because they saw your hand in it. And therefore, that means you are very important in the ECOWAS investment code policy. The African Continental Free Trade Area Investment Protocol is 75% of what we have in ECOWAS. So ECOWAS was the one that contributed the largest in terms of policy into the investment protocol of the entire continent. And because your cooperation was needed to get the head of state to get this one done, I think that is, I say there should be an applause for you in that case. Which means your role is not sidelined. No. But it's more than consultation. Because ECOWAS Commission cannot actually do this, pass it to the head of state without your accenting to it. So I believe that other activity in terms of supplementary out of ECOWAS, another policy decision that are passed through you is to be able to make sure that beyond consultation, you have to actually say, yes, we supported this. You can equally say so amendment. Why not? So, coming back to the questions that were raised by the intervention that I have, Honorable Sheriff, I'm so much happy with all those kind of things. You said something, that the issue of common market and all these things. In the presentation that I made, and I said something there, and let me just go there, that under economic integration, there are 4, right? Yes, these are the phases of economic integration. The first one is free trade area. ECOWAS in 1979 became a free trade area under ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme. And then with the revised treaty of 1993, it gives more powers to the implementation of the ETLS, ECOWAS Trade Liberalization. That is the first stage. And what the first stage says, it says that under a free trade area, barriers on free trade areas are removed. But individual countries can still impose their own barriers on other countries coming to export to them. Then the next phase of economic integration is customs union, which means that the import duties of our member states must be the same. On the 1st of January 2015, ECOWAS achieved that position, in which products coming from any part of the world, they enter our different 15 countries under the same import duty of 0%, 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%. And then the next economic integration phase after customs duty is common market, where we have the various policies with respect to agri, with respect to investment. All of them are common, they are the same. And we have already common investment code. We already have common agricultural policy. We already have free movement, which is common also. And we are having other things that are common. But we are not yet into full common market. The last phase of economic integration is economic union, where we should have a single currency. And I state here as an economist to say that when we were under free trade area, we jumped into having a single currency. And that was not possible because it's a hop, step, and jump that can land the person that is doing it even on his back. This is the table of the economic integration. Free trade area, free trade between members, free. Common external tariff, no. Movement of factor of production, no. Monetary, no. Under the forced integration. That is where AFTA is now. But ECOWAS is under custom union, where we have free movement of goods among members, says yes. Import duty is the same, yes. What about common factor of production? No. Each country still has its own common position, but we are going there. What about monetary something? No. Now, other common market, yes, 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 except monetary, that is no. But under economic and monetary union, everything is yes. The ECOWAS, when I putting ECOWAS in place, ECOWAS look at these four phases as the process we are going to go through. And we are now on number 2, custom union. Very soon we shall be in common market. But after it's just on phase 1, and that's why it's called African Continental Free Trade Area. Some people call it free trade zone. No, you don't replace the area. The free trade area is an economic language under international trade theory. You don't change it. You can't call it zone. But we are moving there. But when we are going into AFTA, African Continental Free Trade Area, because we are already custom union, we went into AFTA as a custom union. Now, so this understanding of the sequence is very important for the Parliament to know, so that as much as possible, we are not going to be mixing up what we need to do. When some of us came to ECOWAS Commission, under Professor Bamba from Cote d'Ivoire, as an economist, I said, sir, yes, we wanted a common currency ECO, but we cannot do it because we are still under free trade area. He said, what do we do? Because that was already preparing for common currency ECO. I said, let us have ECOWAS payment and settlement system. And that is what the Parliament adopted, approved at our meeting in Guinea-Bissau, February 2023. Maybe some of you were there. And then by July, Head of State approved that we should have it. Now, our member states are working. There's already a law to put it in place. They are looking for both hardware and software to have a payment system. What does a payment system say? If I'm buying something from Ghana and I'm in Nigeria, once you debited my account in Naira, they will credit the account of the exporter in Ghana the amount of money. And then we don't have to spend our money paying dollar among ourselves. So, and that's the payment system. When the entire African Discovery ECOWAS is already doing this, that's why they now say Pan-African Payment and Settlement System. They came to our table in ECOWAS Commission to be able to take that initiative. So, and Parliament has supported that. So, Parliament, you need to see yourself to have been contributing a lot to some of this. Now, the level of engagement. You ask for my level of engagement. My level of engagement from the beginning have been to be in charge of the investment, and that is why you see a consultant ECOWAS Common Investment Market. But again, can you trade without investing? And that is why a good economy that wants to talk on investment must know trade. Therefore, I need to be able to do everything. So, at the time when I arrived in ECOWAS as a consultant, I actually went across the member states about what they do related to their trade activities. Despite the fact that the department, the director I was working with that time was private sector. But the director of private sector, who became the Auditor General for the African Brothers and Abraham, have actually been given opportunity to allow me to go and explain this to them. So that is that. But on investment, we are able to move ECOWAS quite hard. all the 8 protocols, ECOWAS is the only legs that's already harmonizing its common position on investment with that of African continental free trade area. And therefore, you are contributed because we changed that 2019 and we adopted it and sent it to head of state, and head of state equally adopted it as well. So, the next question, how do we argue in the case of our relationship with the European Union? Please, that's a very fundamental thing we need to know. Our time is short, but the question you are asking involves a lot of explanation. You see, our relationship with European Union is a sort of being colonies. And when we actually secure our independence, they still want to maintain relationship with us. And that is why they allow our export products to enter their country under the Yaoundé Convention. We turn to Lomé Convention 1, Lomé Convention 2, Lomé Convention 3, and Lomé Convention 4 of the year 2000. But before Lomé Convention 2 of the year 2000, WTO was established. And therefore, allowing our product to enter European Union free can no longer be tenable. And that is why the Cotonou Partnership Agreement was put in place to allow ourselves to negotiate an economic partnership agreement among ourselves so that our product will still be entering European Union under Article 24 of General Agreement of Trade and Tariff. And that is what European Union brought forward under EPA. But some countries look at the EPA and say that, well, what do we need to sell to Europe that we have to open our entire market? What does Europe need to sell to us? Now, you see, that if we are not careful, the decision will be that of David and Goliath, that we need God's intervention. And that is why that particular EPA that was to be signed by December 2007 was not signed by all ECOWAS countries. Let us take this. Some ECOWAS member states are least developed countries, they are not compelled to actually sign EPA. There are about 11 of them. But the other 3, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, and Nigeria, must sign the EPA. But Nigeria declined that its own industrial sector has developed to a stage in which if it opens its door to European Union, it's going to kill it. Therefore, certain areas of EPA must be adjusted. Cote d'Ivoire actually signed an interim one, and Ghana signed an interim one. That is to say, by the time Nigeria is ready, all of us we are going to have a complete ECOWAS EPA with European Union. And that is the position as of now. Now, ECOWAS is reopening this to be able to bring Nigeria concern so that we can have a common position. That is how it is as of today. Under the 77 countries that form the CPA, the ACP, African, Caribbean, Pacific, it is only Caribbean countries that signed full EPA. Other countries in African Union did not sign as well. So that's the position.
Merci, professeur. Est-ce que vous pouvez conclure?
Okay. So, any study about the revenue? Well, there are some revenue. There are some studies at national level, but at regional level, I'm not aware. On the sit at Nigeria Economic Summit Group, yes, we have conducted a lot of studies to be able to actually look at what the country can do from African continental free trade area. Because when the president did not sign, some of us were told to actually bring a readiness assessment, and we brought it. And then those are the things the country is working upon. In other countries, I may not be able to talk about that. But one very important question that somebody actually made mention, please allow me to say this. The companies in Senegal, the companies in Togo, they are foreign investment companies. And with that diagram which I give, under phase of economic integration, look at it. Many of those companies, they are going to benefit from EPA, from AFTA. If they are not careful, they are going to be the ones trading among themselves and carrying their profit back to their various countries. What do? These are areas where certain parliamentary activities have to actually, because that I appreciate that one coming up. And that has been my concern also. That the investment usually promoted should be sustainable investment. Investment that will take care of what we want now, but will not jeopardize the future of the yet unborn. So I don't have a full complete answer, but we need to be able to check it. Right? Then the last thing, then the reason for Benin, I don't know. But I think Benin will soon join. Because about a few weeks ago, they asked the same question from me and from others. I said, I don't know. Somebody from Benin, he said he doesn't know. So, but I know Benin will soon join. Maybe there are still some parliamentary process they need to go through. So my position in terms of recommendation which I'm making is that you are representing the people. And many of you are members of the parliament that make decisions at your country. You are not at a lesser level here by actually making for the regions. I think by implication, what you are doing at the country level, join together, why can it not be made at the regional level? So I think that is what I can actually say. Now, on the issue of the payment system, somebody nearly talked about it. You have participated to be able to see to it putting in place. You can do more. Well, we have stayed together as ECOWAS, whether it's Lusophone or Francophone or Anglophone. And I think that all what we can do is to continue to stay together more and enjoy the relationship. And then lastly, on the issue of domestication, that is a very, very good question. How many countries have domesticated? This is a legal term. Very important. Under the Vienna Convention of 1959, known as Pacta Sunt Servanda, whatever a country signs is bounded by it. Then, under the Constitution of Nigeria, Article 12, number 1, any treaty that is not signed or recognized by National Assembly is not recognized. Therefore, Nigeria has a dual system in which after the executive actually finish, you have to submit to the National Assembly. In some countries, it's not like that. Once the executive sign is binding on the country. But in that of Nigeria, no. And that is why, because Nigeria has not fully domesticated, that is why the issue of gazetting becomes an option until the National Assembly actually have their say. But in other countries, I'm not aware of them. But some of them, maybe under ECOWAS, with the signing of the executive, that is, it creates a finality. Thank you very much.
Merci, professeur. Honorables députés, j'espère que les délibérations d'aujourd'hui vous ont fourni des informations précieuses sur les sujets de notre interaction, autant pour moi. Permettez-moi d'exprimer une fois de plus notre sincère gratitude à nos partenaires pour cette initiative louable, ainsi qu'au personnel de la Commission de la CEDEAO pour leur contribution éclairante sur ces questions cruciales. J'espère que cet engagement marquera le début d'un partenariat plus approfondi et plus fructueux entre nos institutions respectives. Je tiens également à vous exprimer ma gratitude, mesdames et messieurs les députés, pour votre participation active et vos contributions réfléchies. Votre engagement indéfectible envers les objectifs de ce Parlement a une fois de plus été clairement démontré. Je vous félicite pour votre dévouement. Enfin, je tiens à exprimer mes remerciements au personnel du secrétariat pour les efforts qu'ils ont déployés dans l'organisation de la séance d'aujourd'hui. Je suis maintenant heureux de lever la séance. Je vous remercie. La séance est levée.